Hello, Dr. Dyann Ross here. Hope you're going well today. I'm the love theorist, and I want to talk to you today about one of the big threats to feeling loved and cared for, and that is when you're going through burnout, which is a kind of devastating, often different for each person experience of just having become quite depleted, quite demoralized, and without your usual motivations and interests in the workplace. There are many causes for it. And what I want to do today is suggest to you that if we think about underneath those symptoms that we might be experiencing, think about what's happening to our heart. And my guess is that for most of us, we're experiencing broken-heartedness. Now, this can mean many things for people. In the helping professions, and particularly in social work, it can mean from where we've come from in our own life that we're carrying heart wounding. There can be many reasons for that. And it also can be that in our workplace, we witness and see with our clients, the people we work with, many situations that are absolutely heart-wrenching, where people are struggling to survive, to be treated well, to have the basic needs met. Just so many ways that we can see people in their life circumstances who then themselves have broken hearts. So we can get it from two sources, at least. That is from the people we work with and our own life experiences. A third source, which I particularly want to focus on today, is when our brokenheartedness comes from unfair treatment, even violence in our workplace. And it's can be where we least expect it to come from, because all our training is about how to work with people in communities and other settings, how to have good interpersonal skills and be pretty much a good person by following our professional codes of ethics. Very little is said about the kind of brokenheartedness that can happen to us in our workplace, and that when all those three types or three sources of brokenheartedness start to line up, but particularly when we're doing it tough ourselves because we've got a broken heart and we're starting to find the work environment very unsupportive, perhaps even violent and aggressive toward us, even in hidden ways. Bullying is a major issue in the workplace, and it doesn't always declare itself. So you can be having some devastating experiences and not have anyone see what's happening and not feel able to talk to anyone in the workplace about it. Okay, so this is setting the scene for what I think we need to recognise as brokenheartedness when we're social workers, especially if there's an alignment between our own experiences of heart wounding, unfair and even violent actions against us and others in the workplace, and also the devastation of witnessing the trauma and harm that comes to the people that we're working with. So you might be already thinking, well, no wonder I'm burnt out. And yes, it's true. I am never surprised in all the supervision work I do why people are feeling so exhausted and depleted and not even sure they want to stay in the job anymore. And there are always good reasons. Now, underneath those reasons, I want to talk about what might look like if we really look at what's going on in our heart. And there's at least 4 reasons for the wounding in our heart if we're thinking of this idea of brokenheartedness. One is the one I've alluded to already, the issue of unsafety due to physical violence or threats of physical violence. And this can't be understated and is very disturbing, and often can be a tone or an atmosphere of threat and fear, which is as harmful as direct assault. Okay, so unsafety physically can cause brokenheartedness because we feel unloved and not properly treated. The second type of unsafety and type of violence that I think is really hard to pinpoint is when we start losing confidence in our own thinking and our own ideas because of the way we're judged and treated when we try to express what we think. And we lose confidence, we lose our self-esteem, and we start to double guess and doubt ourselves. Okay, so that's very undermining and very depleting if that is happening. So physical unsafety, psychological and emotional unsafety. The third type of unsafety that can often align with those first two is social unsafety, where even walking down a passageway where we might run into colleagues can feel very unsafe. And wherever you're feeling that, don't doubt it for a start. Don't ever doubt it. and check it out with a trusted person. But, like in any situation where you come together with work colleagues where you feel more than uncomfortable and not at ease, but just that it's not safe to be too friendly, not safe to put your guard down, and where, in fact, you could even be scapegoated or not included or asked your opinion in ways that it might be reasonable to ask your opinion. So that's social unsafety in the workplace. The fourth type of unsafety, which I think is the one that causes the most harm in our hearts. The biggest heart wounding comes when, as good people, that we can't live the values that we believe or that our profession asks us to live by. So this incongruence, this misfit between what we believe and how we're acting and what we think the values and norms of the workplace are that we're not seeing happening, causes a great deal of distress. And it's very hard to name and very hard to, in one action, do something about it. There are many ways to respond, but for now, just to recognise if that's happening for you, it causes a kind of demoralisation, not only of yourself, where you just can't keep connected with what's important to you and don't feel you can be your true self. And it can be happening not only to you, it can be happening to others in the workplace. So a couple of things I would ask you to do is just check back through those ideas, see if any of those resonate for you, see what that feels like when you really connect those words and ideas to what's going on in your heart. And if it is resonating for you, it's very important that you don't dismiss it. It actually matters, and you're probably already seeing signs of burnout or at least extreme pressure on your health and well-being. If not tended to, can lead to very serious health issues. So please don't ignore it. Find someone, preferably not in the workplace, who you can trust and talk through with all these thoughts and fears and concerns you have about what's going on for you in your work situation, how it's affecting your heart. And if that concept of broken-heartedness kind of helps you grab hold of it, then that's good. It's not a diagnosis. It's really just a way of starting to unpack and think about all the things that are going on that actually come to have an effect in your heart. And when I'm talking about broken-heartedness, I'm actually talking about your emotional heart, which also has social connection because we are social beings. So when other people are treating us as with less respect and less care and regard than is proper, we can really start to doubt ourselves. And all of this is a self-fulfilling vicious cycle. Yeah. So finding a trusted person to talk to. Some people believe in journaling, and I think there's a place for it. One of the things with that is that we're not sharing that with someone else who can give us a bit of a reality, not only a reality check, but actually give us some validation, because we must get some validation for our experiences before we can do anything to start to address brokenheartedness. Now, it may be that you're in a work environment that some people would call a toxic work environment, where you are just one of many people struggling and with broken hearts and feeling very demoralized. It's even more important that you do something to help yourself in this point and in this circumstance so that you can be available for others as soon as possible. It's very hard to help and support others when you're depleted and demoralized yourself. So understanding what's going on, speaking to a trusted person, thinking about what's possible that won't make the situation worse. And what I know for sure is that if you can refuse to act with vengeance and resentment and lashing out, and if you can refuse to be in conversations where other people in their absence are being talked about negatively, and if you refuse to bully, and if you refuse to do what other people are doing to you, whatever that is that's hurting you, that is the first big step to addressing brokenheartedness. And in the professional codes of ethics, it's sometimes talked about as doing no harm. And it's really hard to do no harm if you're really hurting yourself. So this is the first step. It's a very, very high order action. And you really have to draw on your belief in the power, I think, the power of love and the power of nonviolence. These two beliefs can take you a long way in the hardest of situations. So love is not lashing out, and it's more than that as well. Love is, as soon as you've got a little bit of spare energy in your heart of hearts, to take hold of that, to recognize the pain and use that energy that's coming from, or it's also anchored in the pain, and pay forward in some meaningful way with love and kindness, first of all to yourself. First of all, by believing yourself and validating your experiences as real and true. And then, whenever you can, to make sure you're acting with kindness and quite a big dose of wisdom, so you're not being naive in how you're acting. This is not about making yourself a doormat or just taking whatever's coming and just smiling sweetly. This is not what I'm talking about. Love is a very high order set of capacities, and it has justice at its heart. So it has to be fair to you, and treating people with kindness, trying to outline the issues which might work, but it might not work depending on how toxic the workplace is, and doing what you can to build safety and respect among your peers and colleagues is very important. And in all of this, if you've got symptoms of being hypersensitive, hyper distressed at most of the time, just any hyper, these are burnout symptoms. And it's very important that you turbocharge your self-care. Do everything you can to be extra kind and caring towards yourself. You may find there's so much work and so much going on at work that you're not eating properly, that you're working long hours, that you're sitting at your desk for extreme hours. And, these are not good because your body has got to stay with you in this work. You've got to really look after it. So finding the little spaces and making the little spaces to catch your breath, to have some food, even if it's when you're driving to the next home visit, just look after yourself. And what we know around self-care in challenging workplaces is that most people won't be doing it very well. And for all the same reasons you're not doing it very well. But when you're really on an edge like that, your health is at stake, your ability to do your job is at stake, especially to do it well for the people you're there to serve, the clients, the service users. It's really important you create spaces and turbocharge your self-care. Yeah, it's not enough just to take a 10-minute walk at the end of the day. That is not enough to handle the complexity of stresses and strains that you'll be experiencing. So do find some healthy, life-affirming ways that you can slot into your everyday life, especially when you're at work, to catch your breath, to regroup, to check your own behaviour so you don't become part of the problem. And if someone's constructing you as if you are the problem, please don't. Please don't give in to that. Please get some good advice and support for how to resist other people putting harmful ideas and actions towards you. Very complicated, very, very hard to figure through what bullying and other types of harm in the workplace, what that needs to look like, how you respond with love to that. So please reach out, find someone you can trust. It's really important. And also trust your own sense of what is happening. Okay. So the main purpose today in this offering to you is just to invite you, if you're feeling like you're experiencing burnout or extreme stress in the workplace, to notice what's happening, to see if you can delve deeper for what the causes are, to go a bit further actually again and see what's happening in your heart, what's causing the heart wounding for you, what is the most important aspect of it for you, and what are some ways that you can work with that pain in a positive, loving way rather than letting it sit there and cause such agony for you. Paying forward the pain with love, first of all to yourself, and then when you can to others, will start to help reduce those extreme symptoms of distress and exhaustion and possibly hopelessness for the situation you're in. Please don't give up on yourself, and please take good care of yourself. And I hope these ideas have been useful. Thanks a lot. Bye.